How does it go?
Just ask proper questions.
Oh, right. No, not how the chat thing goes. What is that?
I don't know. Isn't that motorboating?
By the way, I am recording now.
Oh, hi. Hello, all you nice birds.
You lovely bar man. Paul Opie in the house from, God, what is it? Lithium. Shall we all go all the way back to Skeleton Crew, Reaper's Cross?
Do you really want to go that far back?
Black Milk. I'm racking my brain just actually thinking about how many bands you've been in, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
You got to step closer to the microphone, pretend you're ready.
No, I've been handed something to eat, so.
Oh, this is going to go well then.
I'm not eating it right now, don't worry.
Well, my conversations usually go on for about an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours, and then I edit it down because there's no ways this is going to ever be broadcasted live. Not a chance.
All right. Well, then I'm going to fucking eat now then.
What are you eating?
Joe just made some muffins.
That sounded like a beer cracking open in the background.
Yeah, I'm getting messages. I'll explain that to you when we get to talking about music.
Isn't what this conversation was to be about? Music?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so fuck it. That's just the weirdest intro ever that I've done so far. Okay, so how many bands have you been in? Can you count it on two hands?
Enough, I think. Well, let's just go through it from the beginning.
Okay,
I guess. Skeleton Crew, right?
Right, yep.
You were there, you should know it.
Yep.
Skeleton Crew, I suppose I ended up playing 6 months with Dave and a cover band called... Anyway, a cover band with Dave for 6 months. I think it was called Messenger, if I'm not mistaken.
Was the message received?
Yeah, I left. I was pretty shit back then. I'm slightly better now. But
you mean less shit?
Yeah, a smaller shit. After that, I believe it was
The Ritual.
We were called The Ritual. That is correct, sir.
Who has those recordings, by the way? Was it just the one song that you recorded?
No, we recorded 3. Yeah, we recorded 3 songs. And I don't know who's got them. I don't have them. I know that it was put on a Lithium news tape at some stage. I think the very first Lithium news tape.
Side 2. Yeah.
And I would imagine Paris has probably got it. Yeah, either that or Mr. Portlock might have it.
All right. Okay, so we're not going to get our hands on it then, put it that way.
No, I don't think so. I didn't even know I had recordings. I know we did recordings. It was all live takes. JP was a phenomenal guitarist.
Whatever happened to him?
I don't know. I think he worked at Bothner's for a while after the Ritual. I don't think he ever played in a band again, but he could rip the guitar to shreds. He never... I remember going to his house, and we never... Like, we weren't friends or anything. We had just met each other. I think via Boyd, or through Boyd. And we ended up... I ended up picking him up to go to rehearsal, and he said, we want to try this. So he ended up playing Slayer's... what is their slow song? Fucking hell, I've gone blank here.
Skeletons of Society.
Skeletons of Society, yeah. And so he played that, and that was cool, and we ended up doing a cover version of that. But he refused to play the leads because he felt that he wasn't good enough. But fuck, that I could play.
He was phenomenal. Jeez.
Yeah, he was great, but I think he was a bit bipolar.
Okay.
And I think he didn't really find himself, or didn't take himself very seriously, or thought that he was good enough. So, so his self-esteem levels were pretty low. But but the Ritual didn't last long. I think it was about a year. I remember playing at Raffles. We opened up for VOB.
Okay. Wow.
And Raffles in Belleville, I think it was. And then after that, I believe I was super hungover, and you introduced me to Dave, or was it during that time? It was probably during that time.
Probably during, yeah.
And Dave and myself hooked up with Jay van Rensburg, who was our original guitarist in Lithium, and ended up jamming a lot. We ended up being in a cover band with Boyd for 2 gigs. Boyd Abramson was, he rated himself the best drummer on the planet. And I remember
he was good, but he wasn't that good.
Yeah, no, I think his hype made him seem good. He was a fun guy at the time, but he definitely turned into an Aramis wearing fuckhead.
Oh God, Aramis! Jesus, I remember that shit. God, it was awful.
But anyhow, look, I mean, that's irrespective now. That's a long time ago. And so we ended up starting a cover band called Organized Confusion, and it was terrible. Dave, Jay, and myself were kind of into playing, like learning new stuff. We hadn't really played. I mean, Dave and Joe were playing a lot together already. So I had to kind of like fill in the missing parts. So we tried to do some REM stuff, and however, Boyd decided, no, it'll be a good idea if we play Stairway to Heaven.
Oh, no.
Boyd decides to go down there. So we didn't use Organized Confusion as a name because it was confusing. And he ended up putting a poster up called Boyd and the Boys.
Oh my God, what a self-loathing twat thing to do. I mean, you couldn't get more pompous than that. And oh God, yeah,
man,
so
look,
embarrassing.
He was one of the only guys I knew that actually tucked his jeans into his cowboy boots. It was a very strange boy. And we ended up playing the one and only gig there, thankfully. And we attempted Stairway to Heaven, which was terrible. I stood around for fucking 6 minutes,
Dave sang, right? Okay, obviously.
Yeah. So it was, so we never played that song ever again. And I remember also there was a place called Rhythms, wasn't there, Trev?
Yes, that was in Muizenberg. I remember that.
Yeah, that was below the railway line.
Skeleton Crew went to go play one gig. Then we opened up for Boyd's then. Reapers. Was it Boyd's then band, Reapers Cross, right?
Yes. And that was with Danny playing in the band as well.
Yeah, Danny was in the band, yeah.
Yeah, and he was meant to be playing, but he didn't play.
Oh,
I remember Boyd. Boyd tried to get me, or sort of. Their bass player had left, Thomas.
Thomas, yeah, that's right.
And so Boyd says, "No, we'll bring Paul in." And I remember Danny he looked at me and he went like this as a plonker. And I've still got my TNT 160, my PV.
Yeah.
Surprisingly lasted all these years, and I had some horrible Samick fucking bass guitar that was never set up, so I must have had the strongest hands on the planet because the strings were like about 4 centimeters from the neck.
Hey, put it this way, it's put you in good stead for the rest of your bassist career. I mean, those hands, if anybody has ever met Paul and shook his hands, you come away with a broken hand. It's only put through bass players, because one, you're a tough motherfucker, and secondly, you work with your hands doing carpentry and fucking kitchen designing and building, breaking and whatever the hell you do. It's a hell of a lot of manual work, and you use your hands all the time. So they're like fucking paws. They are gigantically strong. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I should walk in them.
We have evolved.
Hey, man.
Some might not think not, but I think we have.
I think we're devolving, or whatever the fucking word is now.
At this stage, we're locked down, devolving, yeah.
And, so that was, what is that, band number 3, 4 now? 4, yeah, whatever. And I think before Lithium became anything, I was involved with Dave and Jay. They had written a few songs, and we ended up recording at Dave Langerman's place in Pinelands. Mm-hmm. And that day we went in to go and record. I think we were still called Messenger back then, although I was kind of like a bit player in the band. And we ended up recording 3 tracks there. It was in the same kind of vein as Dead End. And
okay, we'll get into that later on, but yeah, okay.
And we ended up walking past the guy who was sitting on the steps outside Dave Langerman's studio, and he eventually became the guitarist of Lithium. It was Ian Watson, way back then.
Really? That far back?
Yeah, man. We didn't know it was Ian, but Ian kind of reminded us about it when.
Wow.
When he came.
What was that? 94?
No ways. That was like
93.
92.
93 was when the demos were recorded. 93, 94. We're still not so sure on that, but yeah. Okay, so 92 thereabouts. Okay.
Yeah, Lithium started in 93.
You're not going to get an answer out of me because we've had this discussion for how many fucking years? I say that the beginnings of Lithium were 92, 93. And I also say that the demos were recorded 93, 94.
Yeah, man, I don't know. All I know is that Dave invited Portlock around to come and drum in his dad's lounge the one day.
Right.
And asked him if he was interested in playing. And yeah, that was it. Jay wasn't there. It was just the three of us, I think, that jammed. And in fact, I think Dave asked Simon at the Cinnabar. Was it the Cinnabar?
Cinnabar was upstairs, right? By the college in Museum.
Nah, man. Yeah, it was upstairs, yeah. But that was the play.
Fuck, I can't
the Cinnabar, right?
Cinnabar. Yeah,
was it called Trailers or Whalers or whatever? Was it Whalers?
It might have been the Cinnabar and then changed its name.
Yeah.
It was definitely the Cinnabar.
Yeah. Anyhow, and I think that was during, well, I wasn't doing anything besides, not much actually. These guys, I think, had just got out of school or in college or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it was during the December holidays of 92, 93 when Lithium started rehearsing, I think, in Simon's garage, toilet out the back. And then I invited Paris to come and listen to us about 3 or 4 months into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because there's so much we could talk about Lithium, but we don't want to just talk about Lithium. We want to just, talk about. We'll touch more on Lithium as we go on. But I mean,
if you're talking music, it's
not necessarily all about music. I mean, you want to talk about pieces of fucking wood.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can talk about wood.
I need my dining table sanded down. Fuck.
Yeah, I know we spoke about like this is not a sales pitch, bro.
No. Okay, so not only are you an established musician and played with some awesome musicians, you've also got your own business, as most musicians do, because music isn't going to supplement you your whole life, or going to pull in truckloads of money unless you write pop bollocks and millions of people fucking buy it and stupid shit like that. But you've gone the dark side. You've gone rock and heavy rock, and in some instances like the ritual metal and things like that. But how much longer can you keep doing music without until you lose your fucking mind to like, fuck this?
I've never found music to be a fuck this. I will be playing music until my hands are fucking claws. So as long as I possibly can, I don't think that I don't know why, but I've always sort of equated music to sport, and the more you do it, the better you get at it, like anything. And so fitness levels of playing vary according to the amount of time and effort you put in, and how limber you are, etc.
What I understand is that what I was talking about initially was that your carpentry project and your building. What is it? It's not carpentry. You do a whole bunch of stuff, right?
I'm effectively a cabinet maker, if you want to look at it that way.
But you do more than just making cabinets with fucking wood and whatever. I mean, you actually can redesign whole kitchens, bust down walls to get tilers in, and your project management.
Yes, I do project management. I do renovation work. And I do work with the clients to come up with ideas for kitchens.
So, I mean, it's one-offs, it's customs, it is not some factory-made shit. It's real, genuine wood articles and designs that are one-offs. There'll never be another one like it.
Yeah, to a degree. There's always there's always the golden triangle in a kitchen, and everyone works around that. Right. But I try and incorporate solid timbers, stone if people are interested in stone tops, and paint techniques. Essentially, I try and stay away from plastic as much as I can, but where the budget calls for it and what the people's taste is like, I follow. So there there is no real boundary, but I prefer doing solid timber hand-painted finishes.
Okay, and I'll take it. It's been fucking hell with the COVID, to say the least, right?
Look, my business isn't registered as a business, so I trade under my own name. Although I've got a business name, and
that is
it's Pod Kitchens, and Pod Kitchens and Furniture is what it is. Yeah. Anyhow, so yes, it's been hell. Not earning an income for the last however long it's been. It feels like a year already. 40 odd days. So yeah, and you try and keep in contact. There's a couple of jobs that aren't finished, so that's always difficult. But yeah, on the bright side, I've been playing a huge amount of music, so that's a positive.
But that's good. So I was speaking to Kevin the other day. I was doing a chat with him, and we were talking about how this complete and utter fuck up of COVID and whatever else can actually inspire, get the juices flowing, and actually start writing some stuff. And he said it took him supposed to be 21 days to write an album, this EP that he's going to be releasing through us. Yeah. And have you got anything written down yet? Because you say you've been doing some music, but what is it? It's not Lithium? Is it you and the Hippies, or what is it? And explain to the people when I say that I don't want any tree hugging hippies to start sort of bashing down my fucking door yet.
Okay, so to go through a wormhole and leave where we were at the beginning of Lithium, we are now in 20. I would say, when was it? Probably 2010 is when I met Tim and Andre. And Tim was a neighbor across the road, and I guess my ex-wife and myself had been there for a year or so had bumped into Tim, but he invited me to come around and destroy his drum circle, essentially. Hence why we call him Hippies, is because they played djembe drums, or they played djembe drums back then. And so they had a drumming circle, and I mentioned to him that I'm a bass guitarist and musician, whatever. And he said, bring your stuff over, but he didn't know me. I just basically come out of Black Milk, Moranga, the Prince era, and I decided to take my effects along and set up in the corner where these people were doing their drum circle, and started doing bass swells through overdrive and whatever else, and my synth pedal.
So what is this, experimental or?
No, they were playing like actual like drum circle shit, and I was destroying it for them. So eventually the drum circle got smaller and smaller. I think in the beginning there were like 30 people in this room.
Oh, good Lord. Okay.
At the end of it, there was Andre, Tim, and myself. And the end of it is 10 years down the line, I guess. Or let's say 5-6 years down the line. We ended up just deciding to start playing together, the three of us. So Andre plays percussion and writes a vast catalogue of words. So he's kind of like my Bernie Taupin to like I'm his Elton John type thing. And so he writes words, and I try and put them into songs and melodies and whatever else. And then Tim records us. So Andre plays percussion and drums, or more like percussion on drums, and other kinds of toys. And Tim plays an uhadi through an effects pedal.
Is this weed music?
I think all music is weed. No. I mean, that's look.
Because it sounds very psychedelic to me, man. I mean,
Yeah, so this is very out of the norm. It's very left field. We basically come up with, and so anyways, I play my bass guitar and my effects, and I try and sing words at the same time that Andre writes. And so we call ourselves, we've now just recently got Dan in playing guitar.
Right.
And so there's more melody involved, which kind of like eases up my vibe a bit.
Okay, so it's evolving nicely. Okay.
Yeah, it's evolving, and yeah, Tim records it. So I've done some of the songs that I've kind of remembered. I've recorded just bass tracks and done vocals over that now in this COVID bullshit. Yeah, so I've kind of shared it with them, but some guys can work remotely, so you don't really get much response from that. But on the other side of it, I've tried writing some riffs for Lithium and everything, but it's kind of I'm sort of like in a room with the other guys, kind of.
Okay, I was just going to ask that technology is not really your thing. You prefer eye contact and all that sort of thing.
Well, that's number one, but I don't really have an issue with technology as much as just. I mean, I've got, like I said, I've got the 11 rack set up that Danny loaned me, and I've downloaded Audacity, and I'm just recording onto that platform. And on the other side of it, so I've been busy with doing stuff with that, with the Harbinger. We call ourselves the Harbingers of Death, and
Harbingers of Death.
Death,
as in you can't hear.
I can't hear. Yeah.
Harbingers of Death.
Yeah, so it's kind of left field and kind of out there, and swirls and lots of just melodies playing around. And
so the question is, when do we actually get to hear it?
Well, this is where Danny comes into it. He's more of a guru with mixing stuff and getting the right. But on the other hand, before you interject, I've been recording songs with a friend, a very old friend, Dave from the UK, and another friend, Tom, who's in Nordic or Komiki. Yeah, we've written 4 songs, and we've done a Talking Heads cover, and also going to be doing a T-Rex cover as well. So we've got music out there. Yeah,
I mean,
you'll hear some of it.
Oh, cool. I'll look forward to it. So fuck me. How much writing can one person do?
You can write every day, Trev.
I mean, I get that, but I mean, it's like, where does it come from? It's not as if you open up a fucking chest and go, I'll just choose that one today.
It's the whole discipline behind playing an instrument, I guess. You've got to do it a bit every day, a minimum of an hour, I get, and this is proved good, being off for 40 days, because I've been sitting in this room pretty much every day playing for 5-6 hours. So
now the next question is, usually when I do my podcasts, I put some sort of like background music on of the artist. What the fuck am I going to play for you? Because you've been just about fucking anything.
Well, you can play some Lithium stuff. You can play some Throatball stuff.
Okay, now hang on a second here. Now, the Lithium, I can't just put Lithium. I've got to check with.
But I'll give you some new stuff you can play as well.
Okay, there you go. That's it. That answers that takes care of that crazy question, because that would just be a fucking nightmare, having to speak to the guys in Lithium to try and get a yes out of everybody. That's just not going to work.
Well, since I'm 50% of Lithium in the band.
I was having a chat with Kevin, as you know, and he said he's now a full member of the band. He's got to say what goes on.
Correct, he does.
So it's not 50%.
No, he's a true member of the band. But what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So unfortunately, Lithium has been put on hold. So anyway, let me get back to Dave and Tom. We call ourselves the Cosmic Viennas, or if you want to say it in
Who
English,
comes up with these fucking names?
I came up with it.
Oh God, I should have known. I don't know why I bothered to ask. I should have fucking known.
So Viennas is essentially villains in Spanish. So if you want to look at the spelling, it's Villanes. But so we call ourselves the Cosmic Villanes. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, Harbingers of Death, and
that's with your inverted commas hippie friends.
Yeah, hippie. Oh God, I'm getting a headache just thinking about trying to pronounce the last name. What is it called again? Cosmic Villains.
You can say Cosmic Villains. Viennas, like you say.
You mean like
la jalapenos, like jalapenos?
See, when you say it, I just hear Viennas.
You can go Viennas if you like, Paul.
Don't count me in. I don't want no Vienna.
Just don't drink the hot dog flavored water.
You see, this would sound so much better if everybody was just on weed.
Everybody, I'm not on weed.
Everybody, yeah, exactly. Everybody, light up now. You all enjoy the rest of this chat.
So, are we going to continue down the road of?
Let's carry on with the whole band thing.
All right. So now we're going back down the wormhole to 19.
Now, hang on. You were talking about the cosmic villains, Viennas.
Yes, cosmic Viennas.
Cosmic
Viennas. The cosmic villains. The cosmic villains is a cyber band, I would suppose you'd call it now, because we've only just started writing music together.
Okay.
And so Dave's written a couple of songs, which he's had in the tank for a while. I ended up writing a song during COVID, which we've just finished now. We've got a Talking Heads cover, and like I said, we're doing a T-Rex cover.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another 2 or 3 originals that Dave would like to palm across and see where it goes. Okay. So we all, there is no leader of the pack in this. We all, somebody puts the idea down and the other 2 put their vibes on top of that, and that's where it becomes, you know.
This sounds awfully similar to the Deadbeats, the cover vibe.
Well, doing covers is important, I think. You know, I never used to believe that. That's only because I heard.
You used to hate cover bands.
Yeah, it's because every arsehole on the planet wants to play Summer of '69 and do it badly. You know,
Paul, to be honest,
you know, Smoke on the fucking Water.
I honestly
fucking bands.
I honestly don't think you can do a good version of Summer of '69.
Yeah, I know Bryan Adams does a pretty shit version as well. So, no, I'm joking. It used to be a rad song.
It used to be a great song, but it's been done to death.
Yeah, these cover bands have killed it for me, and I guess maybe I'm becoming that as well. The Deadbeats, but are we not going to get into that as we go down the path?
Yeah, we are going to get down there, but I mean, we'll just kind of flow with it as it goes, because it's interesting that you say that covers killed a lot of music for you, but as long as you choose covers that not everybody else does, and that's where I was heading now with the Deadbeats and the Cosmic Villanes vibe.
Yeah.
It's different. It's not your usual covers.
No, with the Deadbeats especially. I mean, I think we try and focus. Look, we do mostly alternative 80s stuff. You know, Joy Division, The Cure, Depeche Mode. You know, and then we get into the more popular stuff, Duran Duran. But we try and choose songs that are not the hits, essentially. You know? We try
the underdogs.
We try and focus on the B-sides, which is what we wanted to call the band, but there is a band out there called the B-sides.
There's other bands out there called the Deadbeats already, but I mean, that's whatever.
Yeah, it's too late now.
The name is out there. That's it. It's fucking done. And before anybody starts having a go at me about the way I'm talking to you, Paul is actually my brother, so fuck you. I know him better than anybody else.
Yes, and Trevor's my brother, apparently.
I have no idea how that works, but yeah, we are related.
So when this podcast comes out, you might recognize the similarity in our voices.
You might be confused. Who's asking the question and who's answering? What the fuck is going on here?
Okay, so I will go, Paul speaking.
Where the fuck were we?
Having me on here. You know?
No, that's not the end of the conversation. Fuck that.
All right, are we done? No, we're done. Okay.
We haven't even touched. We've only just skimmed on Lithium. Fucking hell.
Okay. So you wanted us to talk about the Deadbeats?
No. We've got the Deadbeats done and dusted. That's fine. I'm just obviously everything's put on hold until COVID's fucking over, and I know I'm going to be hopefully involved in shooting a video for you guys to help with sending it out to companies to get an awesome alternative 80s, 90s, whatever genre you're going to cover. All your big events and all that sort of thing. So click on the link below, the Deadbeats Facebook page. You can get in touch with Gavin. He's the man.
Gavin or me.
Gavin or you. Yeah, Gavin or whoever. Yeah. But okay. So Cosmic Villanes. So is that going to become recorded stuff and put out there?
Well, it's recorded on not the best equipment, and plus, you know, when you don't have air moving between instruments, you don't really get true sound as far as I'm concerned. So if it's going to be anything, it's going to be music that's going to be put out there for people to enjoy, hopefully, and not necessarily to be scrutinized about how well or poorly it was recorded.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Are you one of those musicians that like things sound and like that to be very organic?
Yes. Yeah. I suppose over the years I've collected numerous pedals, and I just like being able to manipulate the sound myself, I guess, you know. But I do like synth-based sounds. I think they are wonderful because you can go from one spectrum to another at the click of a switch, and you sound like you're somewhere else.
Okay.
I guess, you know. So I'd like to believe that everything that I've done has been purely coming from me and inside of me, and from what comes out of the fingers on the bass guitar. So.
Okay.
But midis and all that sort of thing are very important for getting. I mean, you can sample sounds, you can do keyboards, you can do anything in a MIDI, you know.
Yeah.
And they're very cool. I've just never had one. I've just recently got the 11 rack, the sound card set up with the PC. So I'm still getting used to the whole vibe. You know, I'm generally in a room with people making a noise.
So this COVID thing has pushed you to be sort of a little bit more adventurous with the technology side of things.
Yeah, man. I've recorded and mixed my own music back in the days when Sui Studios were around. That was during Moranga, and so when I released the Moranga album, it was done with the help of others, but mostly on my own. And so for me, it's not like it's new. It's just that I haven't done it in a very long time.
Okay. And
we're talking, I think Moranga was released in 2004, around there. So we're talking 16 years ago that I've sat behind
it just seems like the body of work that you've done is so fucking vast. I mean, I've got some Moranga and Black Milk and stuff like that here. But it just seems to, you seem to just keep churning the shit out. And I mean, I say this to every artist that I've spoken to so far, is I just don't understand. I mean, we touched on it earlier, but I just don't understand how you guys keep coming up with new ideas.
There's always ideas floating around, Trev, as far as I'm concerned. Music is an extremely personal expression, you know, which is why I think I felt doing covers was quite against my whole principle.
Mm-hmm.
But it still allows you to be expressive in a way that you're playing it. You try and get into the head, I mean, of what the musician or the bass player in my field is trying to do and what is doing, you know.
Yeah.
But I am what I am, I guess, when I play music, and what comes out is from playing in bands with guys that have basically channeled me into being what I am as a musician, I guess, you know. People allow you to become what you are, you know, and unless you're getting paid to play for some you know, then you got to play what he wants you to play.
Yeah, as opposed to playing what you want to play.
Yeah, sorry, you were going to ask something.
I was going to say, it seems to me that out of all the bands, and there's been a multitude of them, as you discussed earlier, is that you tend to stick with a couple of people that you know. Very few newcomers are allowed in the Paul Opie inner circle.
You end up feeling comfortable with people that allow you to express yourself the way you want to, and if they enjoy what you're doing, then I guess you keep playing with them, you know. And there are no rules, essentially. You know, you end up doing what the song deserves. But I mean, without, and this is where, to get back to your question about how do you come up with stuff, you play, you just keep playing, and something will just grab hold of you, and you will just keep going with it, you know. And sometimes you can go down the fucking worst path ever, and you end up coming up with the largest turd, you've been doing it for fucking a week, and then you realize fucking throw this thing away, you know. But it generally doesn't ever go away. The essence of what you're trying to aim at will always be achieved in some way. You end up doing it, and it comes out, you know.
It seems to me that sort of creativity was in such stupid, huge amounts of abundance in Lithium. And we are now going to start talking about Lithium now, so brace yourself, because you know I'm the biggest fucking fanboy of Lithium ever.
Back to 92.
92/93. The stuff that came out of Lithium in the early days was so, I don't want to sound contrite or anything, but it was just so straightforward grunge rock, but yet it sounded completely new. Why is that? Why did it sound so different?
I don't really know. It was personally for me in the beginning, Simon and myself connected quite quickly in terms of the intensity of the way we played, you know. He was a very hard drummer, and I guess I was quite a hard bass player. Attacking, let's put it that way. Maybe that would be a bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
Dave is an extremely talented person who can write songs probably more freely than I can. So Dave had a whole lot of songs. Back in the early days with Lithium, when Jay was involved, we wrote anything. You know, we just accepted everything. There was no filter in terms of like what we were trying to sound like. We just ended up sounding like whatever the song was presented to us, you know.
Do you think that would be hard to do today?
Yeah, look, I think we were amoebas back then in terms of what we actually wanted to be as musicians, you know. And so when you end up being given an idea of a song, you go with it. There is no, you know, you're not thinking about, well, I think we should sound like fucking Soundgarden or whatever. You're just going, well, we're just going to sound like we sound, you know. And you know, and again, we did covers, you know, in Lithium in the early days.
Yep.
And Pearl Jam was one of the bands, you know, live. And and Man in the Box we did a few times. Alice in Chains. And you know, you end up finding where your middle ground is. I was never a massive fan of grunge. You know, when Nirvana came out with Nevermind, I was like, fuck, that was huge.
Yeah.
And then it took me into Stone Temple Pilots, took me into Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. You know, although I still don't think Soundgarden are grunge. I mean, I think that they're just on their own planet. You know, but giving music a label is whatever. You know, they have to give it something to sell. You know, so all of those bands sound different at any rate. You know,
why are there so many fucking different labels? Why can't rock just be rock? Why is it going to be fucking hard rock, and then metal has got sludge metal and doom metal and goth metal and death metal and glam metal? Why can't it just be metal?
Well, because we're sheeple. Most people are sheeple. You know, and I
think you're going to have to come up with a new genre, call it sheeple. Sheeple metal music. Sheeple music. Is that your record label? Sheeple music.
Yeah, anybody can listen.
Okay, so Lithium, the abundance mountain of material, was that a collective or was that mainly Dave?
It was mostly Dave. I wrote a couple of songs. I think you know that because we did it together mostly. And I was, look, I mean, me and songwriting has always been like iffy, to be honest with you. I've never really subscribed to the pop sensibility in terms of writing a song, which I think I'd like to change at some point. That would be nice to actually write a song that people understand.
But you say that though, because Circus Life, okay, is one that you wrote. Lyrics and music.
Yeah.
Now that is very catchy, and I'm going to play it right now. You can hear it in the background, people. You can. I mean, that's a hell of a catchy tune.
Yeah, but it did help with.
Why didn't that make it on the album?
Well, yeah, there's various avenues we could travel down that, but. To be honest with you, Circus Life, I don't think Ian actually really enjoyed Circus Life that much. I think he hated the whole lead guitar thing. I mean, our initiation for Ian was just keep playing leads, bro. Don't stop. Just keep playing. We'll tell you when you're in the band. You know, don't chill. You know, and I'm not surprised Ian fucking shed a tear every now and again. And you know, so Circus Life, I think, never really got focused on as much as it should have. You know, maybe I didn't put my foot down and go, yeah, I want my song in the fucking repertoire. It was in the live repertoire, but it wasn't on the album. I don't think the producer or the engineers were into that song much. You know.
Now, touching on that, producer, engineers, and so on, Peter Paulson, he's going to be involved. Hopefully with the new album at some point.
Well, Trev, I think we need to get into a rehearsal room and thrash out ideas. I mean, Dave's got shitloads of ideas, but
we won't go into those details because because of any possible repercussions. But yeah, I mean,
no. There won't be any repercussions. I'll express it now. I mean, like for me, it's about being in a room with your bandmates and thrashing shit out.
Yeah.
Whether a guy's got an idea or not, he can play the idea, but I can assure you it won't sound like you thought it would sound in his head.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking off air a couple of days back, and we were talking about the sound of Lithium. And one of the things you said was that some of the stuff that's been brought in recently did not sound anything like Lithium. So how do you say what is the sound of Lithium if nothing's been done, nothing new's been written for years?
Look, I mean, to some degree, you've got to move with the times, I guess, you know, in terms of where hard rock music is going, because Lithium is not a metal band by any means.
No.
And I've never ever professed to be a metal bass player, because I'm not. And however, I do enjoy metal. I listen to it, but I think that like I said to you, like Slayer has never really changed their sound in how many ever years, and they always sound like Slayer.
Yeah.
And I would go the same with Lithium to a degree. I mean, look, yes, we've progressed from Dead End to Aesop with but that's just playing together and moving along with each other, as opposed to trying to sound like...
Well, it's growing musically, isn't it? So, I mean...
Yeah, it still sounds like it sounds, I mean, I guess the commonality in that is Dave's voice. I mean, Dave has got a very unique voice, and when you hear him sing, he sounds exactly like what you expect Dave from Lithium to sound like, I guess.
Yeah.
So that is the commonality, and I would prefer... Look, I mean, for me, it's always, I mean, especially after playing music for so long, is being involved in the rehearsal room with your bandmates and thrashing it out, and...
like the good old days used to be.
No, back in the good old days, Lithium was you bring in a song, it gets played according to the way you wrote it.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I remember being at many practice sessions, and it was like, well, do this and do that, try this and switch it up here and there and things like that. Everybody had ideas.
Yeah, we would try things, but I mean, the structure of this, sure, 100%. But at the same time, you never veered from the actual song, the song structure.
The bass part of it, the bass product of what you're bringing in.
Yeah, hundreds, yeah.
Okay. So Lithium then does a demo 93, 94. We annihilate Radio 5's Barney show with HIV that gets a record number of telephone calls thanks to me. I think I still got to pay Mom back for all those phone calls. And then
I'll pay Barney.
Yeah, I'll pay Barney. Yeah, thanks, Barney. And then Iron Maiden decides to roll into town, and you've just signed with EMI. And I was there for the signing and took video footage of all that and all that sort of crap. Yeah. And then Iron Maiden come in with the X Factor, and you open up for them.
Correct.
How the fuck must have that felt?
Okay, I was a lighty, loved surfing, had a ghetto blaster on the windscreen. I mean, on the windscreen, what do you call it? The dashboard.
Yeah.
And we would go surfing, and I would blare Live After Death all the time before going surfing. And so to meet Steve Harris and Nico McBrain.
Yeah, we got so many. Jesus. Steve Murray. After meeting those three guys was great. I mean, they were the original core members of Iron Maiden from where I started listening. And it was surreal because you never got to meet the guys properly until the end of the last show, and they took us out for dinner. And Nico McBrain has got more stories to tell than I think there is enough time on the planet, which is great. Yeah, it was awesome. Steve Harris, I don't think, had a very good tour and wasn't very happy with the way things turned out. Either that or he was sick and tired of waiting an hour for his fucking sirloin steak. And so talking to those two was great. It was surreal. It was surreal opening for them, Was that gutting for you to meet Steve Harris? And he wasn't really sort of like forthcoming? I guess I didn't, not at all. I guess I didn't ask the right questions, I didn't know what the fuck to ask the guy, bro. I mean, you must understand that, not only is he fucking the master of fucking finger playing in a metal band, asking him questions about music, it felt... to me, felt contrived in a way. I didn't want to ask him about how he plays. I just wanted to find out what he was like, and I guess my naivety, and I guess I was in my 20s still. It was, fuck me. Not really knowing what to ask a guy, But I think he was already stewing in his own misery by that evening, in any case, by that time. But Nick McBrain was a great guy. Yeah, we've if people listen to the podcast, if you check in the description below, you'll see a link to the Lithium video on the Lithium official YouTube channel. of Lithium opening up for Iron Maiden, and that was 1995.
Correct. It was just after the album was released.
And that's right. So let's talk about the album, because it's actually a really quick turnaround time from doing a demo, 93, 94, doing the very first, probably ever in Cape Town, a self-promotional concert, if you will, show kind of vibe, a couple of thousand people, or what was it, 1,000 people or something like that at Fishhook School?
It was 800 at Fishhook, and it was 1,000 or 1,200 people at Civic
at Claremont, yeah.
And then it was 1,500 the third time.
Yeah, and I think the third time was sold out, wasn't it, at Claremont, the third concert?
Well, it was definitely packed.
Yeah, I remember people trying to get in, and we were like, if we let any more people in, it's going to get fucking ugly.
Yeah. It was, look, before the new rock movements in Cape Town came about, there were a lot of other bands before us that ended up putting on their own gigs, and they didn't, I guess, achieve what we achieved, because we aimed at the school kids. We tried to aim at the youngsters who were getting into rock music, and I mean, we were young as well, but we're talking like 6 to 8 years younger than us,
Whose idea was it to do that? Because, I mean, that's a genius move from a marketing perspective, because these kids can't come to a gig because there's alcohol served.
Yeah. No, that was Paris. Paris wanted to do that whole vibe. He wanted to play as many schools as possible. We just ended up getting Civic Hall because it was available, and it was a really good thing to do. And
it was no alcohol as well, so the underage kids could come in.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Genius.
I mean, that has never, for as far as when I was with you guys, I didn't see any other band doing that sort of level. Yes, gigs, yes, like whatever, but nothing like that. I mean, that's a remarkable move. But the turnaround time from doing those shows at Fishhook and Civic and so on, well, in between the Civic and the Fishhook, where there was the signing with EMI.
Yes.
And that was based purely on Paris sending out stuff for marketing and to labels and stuff.
Yes, to a degree, but EMI were getting pressure from the headquarters to sign a rock band in South Africa.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it wasn't pressure in terms of they had to sign us.
Just had to find somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that the music explosion was really happening. I mean, like, you've got to take into account not only Sugar Drive, the New Girls were only really starting back then, although they move upwards, their trajectory was huge,
Yeah, it was fucking phenomenal, yeah.
But there was Sugar Drive, there was Squeal, there were a lot of other bands that somehow slipped through the cracks, Nine... but I'm not talking about that essentially. Like, we ended up being asked by EMI to go and do a battle of the bands, inverted commas again, up in Joburg at the Doors. And we were the only band outside of Joburg that was invited. So we kind of had a feeling that maybe we were the band that they were going to sign.
Right, okay.
I mean, they would have invited many bands, I mean, there was Squeal. Squeal were, if they wanted to have a proper rock band, they would have got that, We just, I think, with the whole HIV thing on Radio 5 and Barney Simon, I think because we were making airwaves with live gigs, I mean, Lithium is one thing and it's a live band.
Yeah.
A recording band, we have never ever achieved what we were supposed to achieve in terms of getting that sound to match the live sound.
Yep, absolutely.
So we played the gig, and lo and behold, we won. And Nancy Hillary, I think, was a big part of that. I think that she had a lot to do with getting us on that gig.
That it just seemed like, besides the Nude Girls, the trajectory of Lithium after signing with EMI suddenly picked up, and it was then straight to Iron Maiden, and then after that it kind of died down a bit.
Well, let's put it this way: I don't think that Lithium has ever had the potential of being able to write a radio hit as such, And I don't mean that we're actually against that. I think that EMI, like I said, were pressured into signing a band I think this is my own personal. Although I have heard it from various sources, other inside EMI as well, and they try to they controlled us entirely. You know, we signed our fucking lives away.
Yeah,
and they tried to control where we played, what we looked like.
Really?
You know,
I would have thought they would have seen the success of the band and the amount of noise you guys were making with the media and all that sort of stuff, that they would just let you carry on doing what you're doing as long as it was a success.
Well, look, the first album wasn't meant to be an album. It was meant to be a 4-track demo, and they were going to pay for us to go on a tour. And somehow Neil Cox came in when we were recording the 4 tracks that we were going to do, and said, "We're doing an album, boys. Choose another 6." You know, so we were put, we were put in a tight spot to come up with another 6 songs that we wanted to play.
But you had plenty repertoire though, so it shouldn't have been too much of a hassle. Maybe not as polished as the original 4 or whatever.
No. There was never really any pressure in terms of being able to deliver on the songs. But we were hoping to actually, if I remember correctly, we were hoping to go and do a countrywide tour sponsored by EMI. But we soon realized that their goal is product and putting it out there, and the live gigging was up to us.
Right. Was that in the contract?
To be honest with you, I don't think our manager read the contract.
I was just going to say, you didn't read shit.
I think our manager was supposed to read shit.
Okay.
Hence a manager. Look, I mean, we were just so super stoked. Our trajectory was like skyrocketing back then, you know. And then I think they didn't want to record us after that. That's why we released the demo after the Broken album, and on a demo, EP.
No, the EP, Take Out.
The Take Out EP, and that was way more fun. Although again, it was. I mean, I think it was Neil's last hurrah with us.
Did it all fall apart because Neil left to go to New Zealand or wherever it is that he went to?
Well, he was the only guy that was really into us, actually. He was our A&R guy. He put his big foot forward and got us in with Iron Maiden, got us in with recordings, especially the EP.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they wanted us in to record. I think they signed some other band after we got signed as like their second hopeful, you know. I guess we were too punk, I guess, in attitude towards this whole sort of
corporate, big takeover
corporate
vibe.
Deck.
Yeah. Okay, so then the Take Out EP, 96 thereabouts?
Yeah, came out, I think, I don't even know, actually. I think 96 was the Bandslam tour, which was unbelievable. Apparently, there's a new one. Ooh, hang on a second.
No, careful.
Did I say that?
No, careful.
Apparently, I don't know anything.
I think I know more than you do what's happening. And that's fucking frightening because I've got a brain like a sieve.
Anyway, the Bandslam tour was huge. And I think the EP came out after that or before that. I can't even remember. Or did it come out in 96?
It was 96 because I think you did the Xenon Super Troopers 97.
Correct.
So 96, right. 96, Take Out, Band Slam tour, a couple of minor tours, and then it all fell apart. Well, it fell apart in terms of EMI. Yeah.
Well, EMI, by the end of 96 it was over. So we were signed for 2 years with them, I think.
The whole history, the very short history of signing with doing the demo all the way through to the end of EMI. It's 3 years, 4 years. Not even 4 years, it's 3 years. I mean, it's that sort of that spark in a bottle, that catching lightning in a bottle is such a short period of time that you guys achieved a shitload.
Yeah, look, we did a lot of work ourselves, We didn't expect anybody else to get us onto gigs or whatever. So, I mean, all those self-funded gigs we did at halls, at this Claremont Civic Hall, we did ourselves, we advertised, we did radio interviews,
But, but also though, Paul, though, I mean, it's so different to today because you guys were gigging every fucking weekend, sometimes twice a weekend.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, you guys were relentless. Okay, you didn't have that many responsibilities, some day jobs or whatever, but you guys were fucking relentless. You had momentum. How can that be done nowadays?
I don't think that there are enough clubs around anymore to be able to do that.
You find people are apathetic. They don't they say, yeah, cool, a gig, and then don't bother going.
Yeah, of course, because it's I use the analogy of going to the gym. The hardest part is getting out the front door.
Mm-hmm.
And if people actually cared about original music, and I'm saying original music, because it's very important, they would make a massive effort. And look, I'm to blame to a degree as well. The older you get, the less likely you are driving yourself out of the front door to go and watch something new.
Mm-hmm.
And but what we did back in the day is we attacked the right places, and I say schools are the right places to attack to get your music across. No one is doing that these days. Everyone expects Facebook and whatever other platform to be able to put them out there. People, I still feel, want to see the real deal when it happens. And you might be the best fucking band in South Africa at this moment, but you're doing nothing if you're not actually doing FaceTime with people. And I'm not talking fucking video FaceTime. I'm talking real FaceTime.
Yeah, real FaceTime. Yeah.
It's
challenging in these times, considering the COVID and everything like that. People doing Instagram live shows and Facebook live shows, and I've touched on this with all the other people I've spoken to. I mean, is this going to be the new norm? And I'm sorry for the people that have listened to the other previous podcasts. And it seems like I'm asking the same question. It's just getting a different perspective. Is it the new norm?
Well, it appears that it's going that way at the moment.
Personally, I fucking hope not.
No, I hope not as well. Look, we're dealing with something that's clearly the world was not expecting. So,
or were they?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to go down that road.
That's the biggest fucking rabbit hole on earth. Yeah.
No, because you'll.
We'll be here for fucking hours. We'll have to crack open the whiskey, get a couple of joints going. Fucking hell. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
You've got whiskey.
Sure, God damn it, how I wish.
Okay.
I take water and I think it's whiskey and I'm like, oh God, this tastes so good. And I realize what a placebo. Fucking hell.
Yeah, look, I think that we have the live music industry is dead as far as I'm concerned at the moment. We're not just talking about musicians, we're talking about sound engineers, lighting, rigging guys, whatever it is, the whole
industry. Were you
industry.
upset when you heard about Mercury shutting down?
Yeah, very upset. It came as a surprise, to be honest with you, because I always, they seem to be relatively busy, actually. But clearly...
obviously not.
The bottom line is what it is, I think... And the COVID-19 is going to expose this. It's the end of money, man.
We're going down the rabbit hole, my friend. Let's not do this.
Okay, I'm back up.
You back up like a turtle head. You back up. Well, I mean, this conversation can go south very quickly, but we won't let it get there. Fucking hell. So lithium and gigging and stuff like that, it seems almost impossible that'll ever happen again to that caliber or to that nth degree. People going out and doing 2-3 gigs a weekend and start building up a following.
Well, if I live for another 5 years, I know 100%. I think there's nothing worse than watching a band play their shit from home. The whole idea of going to go see a live band is the spectacle behind it, and the other people that are there. So whatever this virus is doing to us is definitely not. It's not a positive outcome for people to go and enjoy music or musicians to enjoy playing to people.
Mm-hmm.
So people that earn their money exclusively out of playing music. It's difficult, man. It's very difficult in this time.
Talking about earning money now, Lithium, after breaking away from EMI or EMI mutual agreement or whatever, I don't want to get into the specifics, it's got fuck all to do with me and it's done and dusted. So independent. So with that came, hopefully there was some money stored and made and put aside to build the Paris studios in Fisher. We won't touch on that too much because my intention is to have a podcast with Paris and to touch on these things and many other things.
Sure. No, it was a very positive thing how it started, you know.
Because Xenon Super Troopers is one of those albums that you keep going back to more so than, for me at least, than Broken, because Broken to me is far too polished. But I find that Xenon Super Troopers is an album that you can, for me again, listen to once a week, you know, just a couple of tracks here and there and so on, and it still stands up today. It's a good, solid fucking album, and it's a long album.
Yeah, we had a lot of material. I think there could have been another 3 or 4 songs on there actually. We were in a good zone writing music then. You know, we were starting to collaborate, although in pods with each other. I don't think that there is one song that we wrote as a collective. I would imagine the last 3 or 4 songs were probably the most collective writing we've done together. And that was on the Sensory Deprivation tape.
Sensory Deprivation.
But so Xenon Super Troopers for us was also a very relaxed process with regards to tracking the music, being our own studio, and it was positive, you know. Apart from the few arguments that generally happen in any case, you know, I would imagine with every band and every recording process. And so I felt that we were more relaxed. We had more ideas flowing around, and, you know, apart from people throwing their toys out of the cot, it was good. It was a good experience, you know.
It just sound, you know, I remember being in what was before the Paris Studios, that recording hellhole down at the bottom of Paris's house, and sitting with you guys, and Dave sitting on the toilet doing his vocals and fucking crazy ass shit. And I remember Ian being there, and everything was so fucking tight. It must have been a blessed relief to see the size of the studio that was going to be made, and it just seemed like the kind of place that you wouldn't get good sound. Is this, we were talking earlier about you like your sound to be organic. That studio, Paris Studios, did that have a good sound?
Yeah, look, it definitely wasn't built according to studio specs. What essentially happened was Paris enclosed the bottom section of his house, and with the extremely tight budget that we had to do what we could, you know, in terms of getting isolating and separating sounds. And I don't think that ever happened. It was essentially just a fucking cavern. And although we ended up doing what needed to be to actually end up getting sound, you know. So I think with regards to the end product of the album, it's definitely not polished, basically or purely because of the fact that the room was not great.
I mean, it's an independent thing, so it sounds like it's supposed to sound.
Yeah, you know, I think it would have got better with more financial input, and we could have done a lot more to the place, but, you know, we all know
the album have sounded completely different if it were in a big studio, like with the EMI budget or whatever.
Yeah, it would have definitely sounded different, because we wouldn't have been able to I think we probably would have been able to actually lean on the producer engineer more to get what we wanted out of it.
Okay.
Because we had been a little further down the line.
Yeah. Okay. No, I just find the whole process interesting, and obviously hopefully the people that are listening will be Lithium fans, and, you know, we hope to get some more fans on board, because that'll be worthwhile. Description and links down into Facebook and Instagram and Twitter down below. But after that, the song that I find leaving or ending Xenon Super Troopers is Green Scooter, right?
Correct.
Green Scooter, to me, sounds like it could have come off Sensory Deprivation, if Sensory Deprivation was recorded properly.
Yes, it was recorded at the same time frame as Big White Beast was being put down. What else was there?
Aesop.
Aesop was basically the one and only song that wasn't around then for Sensory Dep. I mean. For Xenon, you know, 1980X as well was not Xenon time, but Swarm and Big White Beast was definitely part of it. But we hadn't really got it down, you know. We hadn't really we hadn't really got to the point of going, okay, I think we're happy with it. You know?
When you did the Century Deprivation, you'd broken all ties with Paris at that point.
Correct.
Okay. So
look, we had already discussed breaking up during Century Deprivation.
Are you talking about breaking the band up or breaking up the partnership between you and Paris?
Dissolving the band.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That far back. I mean, the band came to an end in 1999. So
yeah, we toured hard, man. We had already spoken about. So we recorded Century Dep in '98, I think 98, 99, round about there. Yeah. And look, I wouldn't call it a recording as much as a fucking waste of good songs, actually. I think purely based on the fact that we weren't pulling the amount of people that we were used to, and obviously not having.
But why is that though? Base. Why weren't you pulling the crowds in?
Techno became a massive thing, Trev.
Fuck, there's always one fucking techno somewhere around the world, somewhere fucking it up for everybody else.
No, look, I think at the time we didn't really fit anywhere in terms of popular or hard music. You know, we were kind of in between the two. So I always felt like during that period, people were starting to follow the New Girls and whatever other bands were in the same kind of, more popular type bands. So either you were into that and metal was starting to become like a big thing again, you know? And,
So Lithium was basically in a void, not sort of directionless, not going anywhere, kind of didn't know what path to follow and strife and shit within the band. It was, talked about breaking up and all that shit was playing a part in what came out of Century Deprivation.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think that the band were unhappy with each other. I think that we were actually just very unhappy with the state of the music industry. So instead of doing things like an adult, we broke the band up and not said, okay, let's just take a break for a few years and see where that goes.
What do you think would have happened if you had taken a break?
Well, look, I don't think things would have changed much, to be honest with you. I think there was a lot of talk about us moving overseas. I just had Matthew, so, a 4-year-old kid wouldn't have, I think, dealt with his father living in the UK. Although, if I had done it differently, I would have done 6 months kind of thing, to see where that would have gone. But I think that the relationships were strained in any case. So like I said, dealing with it with a young brain and not thinking about the bigger picture, we ended up dissolving the band.
So the band broke up in 1999. And then what? All the side projects, if you call it that?
Well, no, I mean, side projects. I think Dave and Simon, because they heard that Ian and myself were involved in Black Milk, they ended up doing the Happy Smileys. And it was kind of like an industrial type fuck around band, which I thought was great, actually, very funny. But again, I think Simon disappeared overseas for a while.
Right.
Something we should have done at that time was actually just take a break from each other.
Yeah.
It's one thing living in each other's faces all the time, and then having to try and be creative with it, with the amount of pressure, Unfortunately, we're not the Rolling Stones where we could just sit around in the toilet and come up with songs every fucking other evening,
Yeah. The next step for Lithium is to get some music tracked down with Peter Pilson. Hopefully, I've spoken to him recently.
Yes, I would like to work with Peter again. I think we've all grown up and we've become different people since the 1990s. And I've been in contact with Peter as well over the last few years, and I think there's a good chance it'll happen. If we can get out of this bullshit that we're in and actually be able to get in a room again and start playing. I think it'll happen, and it needs to happen. It needs to happen.
Yeah, there's almost like the story needs to have an ending, or it needs to have a part 2 or part 3 or Lithium part 10.5 or whatever the hell it is at the moment.
Well, it'll be officially part 2, I think.
Okay, so it'll be you, Kevin, and Dave, and the new drummer is gonna be
the new drummer. Well, we haven't actually played. Well, I've played music with him before. It'll be Art Pereira, I think.
Right.
But we haven't actually been in a room together to actually play. So Kevin and Art know each other very well, and obviously Yeah, so art. I've over the years, we did the Kill City Blues band thing. We did it's a collective, so we ended up doing that song about Americana.
So the collaboration thing.
Yeah, and I did the Faith No More tribute gig with Art and Kevin, and that was hard and good. And so I think that's we'll check what Art brings to the picture, and see how it goes, where the creativity goes from there.
Suffice to say, there is going to be a future for Lithium.
Right now, no.
Oh, for fuck's sakes!
No, I'm talking about where we're at now. I hope so. Look, we haven't been in a room together for about 6 months.
Yeah.
So, Dave had got a bee in his bonnet and wanted to record the tracks that he's had around in his catalog for a number of years, and wanted to get that down. So we're still kind of waiting for that. Bits and pieces have come out, but I believe that we just need to get in a practice room and start thrashing those ideas around.
Old school style.
Well, I think it should be old school style. It should always be that.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's not a band.
No, well, exactly. Okay, well, that's about it, man. Got a bit of history on Lithium and what you've been doing, and the Hippies and the Viennas and fucking
the Cosmic Villanes.
The Cosmic Viennas. There we go. Okay.
Cosmic Villanes,
Cosmic Villains. There we go. Fucking hell. Mere names, anyway. Paul Opie.
There's more, isn't there more?
What you got to be fucking kidding me? I'm hungry. I need to go I need to drink my imaginary whiskey that I have.
Okay, let's just mention the other bands that you were wanting to talk, because we've gone down wormholes now. We haven't got to the end.
What other bands? There more?
Black Milk. There was Black Milk.
Yeah, but we touched on that. I mean, it's
okay. There was Moranga.
Right. Yeah,
there was
Moranga.
The Prince. There was
Prince,
Copious.
Right. Copious.
Ankle Ian. Ankle Ian. Ankle Ian was
You were involved in that.
Right? I was involved in it, but it wasn't a band.
Okay.
There was.
What the hell was it then?
It was actually Ian's solo album. Like I did Moranga's, I wouldn't call it solo, but Simon and Alistair Douglas were involved. And,
didn't you play on it though?
Yeah, I did, but Ian did everything. I mean, he basically took it. It was his idea.
Okay.
His brainchild.
Okay.
And
move on then. Okay. Throatball.
And then obviously now the Deadbeats as well. And Throatball.
Yeah.
What a waste of a good band.
I'll tell you what, that band was fucking hardcore punk. Brilliant. Loved it.
Yeah, I actually got asked by a friend the other day, saying, I never understood why you actually wanted to play in Throatball, because if anybody's actually listened to the catalogue of music I've done, Throatball is very different.
It is.
Guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's definitely on the harder edge. It's not the experimental, chilled out stuff.
Yeah. And I said, to this friend that asked me the question, because he's heard me play sort of like very melodic bass lines and like via Black Milk, The Prince, etc. and stuff like that. And I said to him, you must understand that it might not be melodic and soundscapey as such, but it also is it's a very different attitude that you've got to actually focus in on. And playing very percussively has its own melody behind it.
Yeah.
And trying to affect the downstroke playing only, the whole punk attitude of trying to play downstrokes all the time, and so the attack is always hard. Yeah. So, I find that music and all genres of music fits everywhere, man. Melodically.
We can't say that whatever new you're going to do is going to sound like something that's gone before. It's going to be new.
I know. Not me.
I think we're going to change your name to Scatterbrain. I think that's what we're going to do. And you're going to start a punk band and your name is just going to be Scatterbrain.
Scatterfingers.
So you see, there he goes again, people. There he goes again with his weird shit. Scatterfingers. Everybody light up with your second or fourth joint and try and understand this conversation if you can. Paulie.
Yes.
Fucking hell, Jesus. Your brain is like a minefield. You've got to be careful where you tread in case you fucking unearth something nasty or weird.
Well, at least we know they're firing. Not on all cylinders, but they're firing.
That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
That's after we do a couple of bottles of Maker's Mark and try not to get the greens.
Yeah, please, I'll wait for those days.
No, I don't want to wait for any of those kind of days. I'm done with that shit. Jesus. God damn it. No, thank you.
Marijuana is good for people.
It's not good for this guy.
And even if you have too much alcohol, Trev. Too much alcohol.
A whole bottle of Jim Beam and 2 liters of Coke does not help prior to having the green stuff. No. Fucking moron, self-loading, absolute twat of a person.
It was still a good night.
It was a fantastic night. Tip the waiter. Oh, God. Only thing I can tip now is fucking my head against the fucking toilet seat. Jesus. Never again.
Funny stuff.
Paul, thanks for chatting, man.
Thank you, Trevor.
And we'll see you when this lockdown has been lifted and we're able to see people face to face, and hopefully there's good news coming out of Lithium with gigs and Peter Pilson and the Hippies and the Villains and whatever weird name band you're going to come up with.
Yeah, for sure. I'm about to go climb into my my urban camos and go and taunt some police officers.
Hey, there we go. That's how punk people can still be at age 50.
Okay, I'll take that back now then.
You're actually lying onto. You're going to put your Jimmy Jams on and go watch something on Netflix, aren't you? And smoke a pipe and something in front of a fire or something.
No, actually, I'm probably going to play some more music now.
There you go. Punk to the end. Uncle Paulie, thank you very much for the chat, man.
All right, Gweedo.
Oh, Uncle Paulie, what do you want me to do now, Uncle Paulie? I'll tell him to shut up, but he just won't listen. This DJ guy, whatever the fuck his name is, Wolf, what the fuck?
Good. Just go and have some fucking dinner, right? Just get some fucking dinner.
Okay, Uncle Paulie, you got it. Cheers, bro.
Cool trip.
Cheers,
Thanks, bud.
Bye.
Bye-bye.